Good morning and welcome to Mets Connect Me, a new day of our 5th day event. So far we have seen a lot of interesting presentations and more to come. Normally this would have been the first day of our exhibition and we already had our famous Mets party on Monday evening, but unfortunately Mets Trade has been cancelled this year.
Therefore, we decided to bring Mets to you online. We started last Thursday and will continue till tomorrow afternoon. Each day we broadcast 2 live sessions, one at 11 in the morning and one at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My name is Dianne van Mun.
And my name is Marianne de Groes and we are your online hosts for Mets Connect Me.
Mastervolt connects with CZone is the title of our online session number 7. And we're standing here with one of the presenters, Marleen ten Broeke. Hello, Marleen.
Hello, Dion.
We have one burning question. What is it like as a female engineer to work in a typical man's world?
Well, to me, it's my normal. I have been part of a men's group for quite a while now, and I think most of the customers know that as well. Of course, I would like to have more female engineers and more female in general within the group, but so far it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, good to hear.
You will not know what the future will bring.
No, of course. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Marleen. We will see you in a few minutes. Even though you are sitting at home or in your office, your participation is very much appreciated, and we would like to interact with you. If you look on your screen, on your right, you can see the Q&A. There you can fill in as many questions as you want, and after the sessions, our experts are more than ready to answer them.
But first, we go to... Welcome back to another episode of Brain Trainer. And with a female touch to the presentations, you'll get an according question. How many female employees are working for ASD in EMEA?
You have 45 minutes to send in the right answer and we will tell you who the winner is. But first we will go to Marleen and Ivo Harting, who will join Marleen in the presentation of Mastervolt Connect with CZone.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Mastervolt Connects with CZone presentation. We will be talking during this session about what have we done in the previous year. Ivo will run you through the setup of a system. And of course, we will be talking about what's coming up in the next year and maybe even years to come. We started the Mastervolt Connects with CZone quite a while ago. And the question is, why did we start again? Well, of course, we started with this to give you a more easy way of configuring our system and to give you one look and feel. So one of our goals is to give you one configuration tool. This will be the CZone configuration tool. And so there is no more need to think about, okay, I have master adjust, where was this setting again? Or this is the CZone tool, how do I do this again? No, it's just one simple tool. The benefit of the CZone configuration tool is also that you can do your configuration offline. So you can do it laying down on the couch, or when you're allowed in the office, do it over there. No need to be in a cramped space in the boat or other application. For those who do a series build, it's also easy because you can reuse the configuration file over and over again. With the integration with CZone, you will also see that you have the same look and feel on each CZone display, which gives you, for the customer, gives you an easy overview of what the data is of your system. For those who have set up a system in the past, you might recognize this picture. On one hand, you have a NEMA backbone with CZone modules connected to it. One of those drop cables goes to a bridge, and that connects to the Masterbus network on the other side. This will give you all the information on a CZone display. But of course, as you can see, this needs an additional module in your network, which also needs additional configuration, which is not as easy for everyone. So that's why we're working towards an easy way of connecting Mastervolt equipment to a CZone or NEMA backbone. So in this picture, you can see a NEMA backbone with drop cables to Mastervolt equipment and a CZone display. Every device that is now supplied with the CZone communication will be supplied with a new drop cable. On one hand, you will have two square connectors, which you know from a Masterbus connection. So you just simply plug this into the Masterbus connections of a Mastervolt device. On the other end, you have the round connector, which can connect to a NEMA backbone. With the integration of CZone, we also have taken a look at all the dip switches on our equipment. So with all Mastervolt equipment that we have and support CZone, you will see at least 10 dip switches. Dip switch 1 is the option to control Masterbus and CZone. Dip switch 2 is always the choice between Masterbus power, yes or no. So if you set dip switch 1 to CZone, you set dip switch 2 to bus power off. Dip switch 3 to 10 then become the address which is unique within your CZone network, and which is very similar to what you've seen with all CZone devices. If you set dip switch 1 to Masterbus, then you can set dip switch 2 to on, and dip switch 3 to 10 become configuration options that you are used to from all our Mastervolt devices. For example, dip switch 3, 4, and 5 will always be the selection of battery type for a charging device. You will find this with Charge Masters, Combi Masters, and in the future with more devices as well. So which devices can you connect to a CZone network? Well, I think most of you know that you can connect a master shunt to a CZone network. This has been released a couple of years ago, and it's been available for quite some time. In the last year, we released the option of selecting a 36-volt options for those systems that want to monitor a 36-volt system. What we also released is the option to do a firmware update from the configuration tool to the master shunt. All ChargeMaster Plus models are also available to connect to the CZone network. All models that are currently being released have the option to connect to CZone. For the models that are coming up next year, so the 1235, the 1250, the 2420, and the 2430, will be available in the CZone configuration tool by January next year. The models itself will be available approximately March, April. All Combi Master models can also be connected to a CZone network. So this goes for the 120-volt models and the 230-volt models. The same goes for all lithium-ion batteries. They can all be connected and used in a CZone network. Last year, we also released the option of making a cluster out of this lithium-ion battery. A cluster is basically a big battery bank. And in January, we will give you the option of doing a firmware update to that lithium-ion from the CZone configuration tool. And with the release of the 1250 of lithium-ions, you will also see that option from January onwards in the configuration tool. Other than models and devices, we also created a few new features in the CZone network. So for example, you can now change the language on every CZone display. Previously it was English and American. Now you can also choose Dutch, French, Spanish, and Italian. We have a few new icons on the displays as well, and one of those is the AC in current control. With this, you can control the shore fuse limit of your charging device to make sure that the connection on shore or on your camping ground does not trip. The other icon shows you the information of your charger or inverter charger. For example, in this case, you can see that my charger is on and in the status bulk. Of course, this can also be absorption or float. If it is an inverter charger, you will see an additional line on this picture which gives you the information of the inverter status. For example, is it on and how much power is it doing? Connecting the Masterbus USB interface to a NEMA, backbone or CZone network is also available. Just simply use the new drop cable and connect it to the backbone. Connect your laptop to it and send a new configuration file to the system, or make changes on the config file. With the Masterbus USB interface, you can also do a firmware update to Mastervolt equipment. This is now available for the Master Shunt, and from January onwards, you can also do the lithium ions. I'm now giving the presentation over to Ivo.
Thank you, Marleen. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ivo Harting. Right now, in this part of the presentation, we're going to show you how to create a CZone Mastervolt system. In global, we can say we have two kinds of system options. The first one is a brand new system, mostly being done by OEM builders. The second one is a system refit/upgrade. And with an upgrade, we mean if your system is older than a few years. That's mostly being done by installers. To guide you through this whole process, we have some useful information. And that's mostly the pictures. And it can be a picture of your vehicle, can be a picture of your boat, or from the equipment. We have the technical drawings, if they are available. We have a load list of consumers, which give you an idea what kind of equipment is needed, and the wish list of the end customer. Right now, we're going to check out a system refit. This is a very nice picture of my lovely colleague Marleen enjoying her boat on a very nice Saturday afternoon. Marleen, you were looking for a system upgrade. Can you please inform us, what were you exactly looking for?
Yes, indeed. Of course I can. Well, I like to be on the water, especially now during COVID. I have been using it as part of my office as well. But I noticed a few things that I thought, okay, we can probably do this better. One of those things is, for example, when I enter my boat, I have to turn on quite a few switches and before I can use and enjoy the water. I think that could be way quicker. Also, I had a few occasions that I was on the water and enjoying the sunshine. For some reason, everything stopped. Apparently, my batteries were dead, but I had no information about that. And of course, now that I'm using it as my office, I would like to drink a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. But I have no equipment for that on my boat. And so I have to go back to the harbor, get a cup of coffee, go back onto the water. And of course, when you're enjoying the sunshine, you get a bit lazy. So feet in the water, laptop on your lap, and doing some work. But then I don't want to get up and control the lights or other parts of my system. So it would be even better if I can control items from multiple places, or maybe even from my iPad.
Okay, Marleen, it's very clear. If we look at a small summary, and that can function as the starting points for creating our systems, then we can say, okay, Marleen told us she wants one system with total control. She wants to have the system information centralized on one display, even if it's possible with an integration on an MFD screen, and an iPad option with a CZone application could be a nice to have. A more modern look and feel she wants to create, and that is also a bit referring to some kind of push buttons she wants to have, and she wants to have more comfort options. And that means, in my eyes or my ears, the modes of operation. On the other hand, she had a request for 230 volt on board, and she wants to have better information of the battery usage. And better information of battery usage brings us to the adding a shunt to the system. Here we see a load list overview. On the left side, we see all the low current consumers and next to it, the high current consumers. The low current consumers are 24 in total, the high current consumers 8 in total. In the middle, we see the switch buttons or switches Marleen wants to have in her boat. And we have an overview of the battery management cluster, which is right now in the existing equipment. On the right side, we see an overview of the 230-volt consumers. And if we look at that list, we see the coffee machine as the one with the most demanding amount of power. It's around 1700 watts in total. If we do a small analysis on this load list, we can say 24 low current consumers. For a COI or a Control 1, we have 12 low powered outputs each. If we look at the high current consumers, we have 8 in total. For the COI and for the Control 1, both we have 4 high power outputs. So that means we can use 2 COIs or 2 Control 1s. If we look at switches and buttons, there are for 12 buttons, there are 2 options. We can go for 2 DSBs, which we connect to a COI, and then add 12 push buttons in total, or we can go for 1 or 2 keypads connected to the not directly connected to the Control 1, but we connect them in the same CZone Mastervolt CAN bus route. The keypads are available in a 12 soft button version or in a 6 soft button version. So we can use or 1 big keypad or 2 smaller keypads. If we look at the battery management, there's only one option, and that's to go for the new battery switch, the 701 motorized drive CZone compatible. If we look at the 230-volt consumers, the best options are to go for or a 2 kVA Combi Master on 12 volt or the 3 kVA Combi Master on 12 volt. Here we see a single line drawing with an overview of a system which has the COI as a basis of this system. We see 2 COIs connected to 2 DSBs, and straight towards the DSBs are the push buttons connected, 12 in total, and that can be red ones or blue ones. On top of that, we see the CZone Mastervolt CAN bus with the T-pieces and the network interfacing. Under that, we see the master shunt, and that's being added to get a better overview of our usage of the service battery. And on the right side, Marleen had the request for 230 volt on board, so we see here the Combi Master. If we look at the Control 1 system, it looks a bit the same. A big difference is that the keypads, we see here 2 keypads with 6 soft buttons each, are straight directly connected to the T-piece connections in the NEMA backbone. The Control 1s are connected to the DC loads, so that's the same as we saw in the COI drawing. Only another option right here, so that's what we just discussed, is the keypads straightly connected to the T-pieces. System differences. This will give us a summary of the differences between a COI system and a Control 1 system. If we look at the COI plus DSBs and integrated push buttons, then we see that it has a more custom look and feel. We can place these push buttons everywhere in the dashboard or even everywhere in the boat. So we have a lot of flexibility. We only have to add the CZone DSB units. The difference between a COI and a Control 1 is that the COI gives us also the possibility to have the current loads measurement. So if we look in on the list from the Control 1 and the keypad, we see that there's no current load measurements. On the other hand, we have to create extra NEMA backbone points because the keypads are directly connected to that. And we have to say that using the keypads and the Control 1, makes us having a more easy and fast installation. Why? Because we only have to drill one hole to place in a keypad with 6 soft buttons. And for the for the push buttons, we have to create 12 individual holes. Right now, we give a summary of the final decisions Marleen made together with me for her system. We see here the option COI or Control 1. We made the decision to go for the Control 1. Together with the Control 1, we already discussed, if we add DSBs to our system, we can go for the option for the nice push buttons in color red and blue. If we look at the battery control options, we made the decision to stay with the current installed battery cluster. And using this new 701 motorized drive CZone battery switches will be probably an upgrade later on this year. If we look at the display options, we see here the Touch 10 and the Touch 5. Marleen already gave us some information that she also wants to have the CZone app on her iPad. The CZone Touch 5 has integrated Wi-Fi, so that is going to support that option. So we made the decision to go for the Touch 5. Here we have a very interesting one. We already discussed that adding a master shunt to our system will give us a better overview of our lead-acid battery use during the day. But this master shunt option is already integrated in our new lithium-ion battery. And as we all know, Marleen wants to have a 230-volt inverter on board. And as we all know, adding an inverter to a current system is creating more amp-hour consumption out of your battery. So actually, we need a bit bigger battery pack. But as we all know, Marleen is a lady who likes to take a lot of bags with her if she's going to spend the day on the water. So actually, she doesn't have any space, or she doesn't want to use that space for batteries, because she needs to put the bags over there. So finally, this lithium-ion battery, which is giving us an advantage of 70% in weight and volume, so that's the best option to replace the current lead-acid battery and put in a lithium-ion battery, and that's a 12-volt version, 5.5 kilowatt hours with Connect Ultra kit for having a very good battery to survive on the water for all the day in the boat. Last but not least, the 230-volt options. We did go for the Combi Master 2 kVA because we already discussed the coffee machine has a maximum of 1700 watts, so the 2 kVA version will do the job. So we have some key takeaways as total overview of this system. Please understand that these key takeaways can be for every Mastervolt CZone system. We already discussed the master shunt can be replaced by a lithium-ion battery with Connect Ultra kit. On top of this, we see a DC-DC converter. The DC-DC converter is making sure that you have a very stabilized power supply on the NEMA backbone without interfering. If we look at the USB interface, we want to make sure that this is a standard item in your system, or otherwise make sure that you have a spare output as you see above the Mastervolt USB interface, so it can be really quickly connected if needed. And here you see the network interface. And the network interface is really important to make sure that there's no unneeded communication between the MFD side of the CAN bus towards the Mastervolt CZone side of the CAN bus. And right now we're going to the configuration. I want to give back the word to Marleen.
Thank you, Ivo. Well, now we have set up a system, and we decided on which devices will be part of this system. Of course, now it's time to configure the entire system. If you open up the CZone configuration tool and you start adding Mastervolt equipment, you will see, for example, this window. In this case, I want to add a lithium-ion battery to my system. Of course, first you have to give the battery a name. Give it a name that the customer can relate to. So in this case, my service battery. And then you have to choose which type of lithium-ion battery do you have. Well, as Ivo showed you, in this case we have a 12-volt 5500 lithium-ion battery. If you simply press OK at this moment, the system will work just fine. And as you can see, with all Mastervolt equipment, the windows will look very similar. In this first window again, you can select a name for your Combi Master. And of course, you have to select again which Combi Master type do you have. In this case, a 12-volt 2000 VA model. In this same window, you have to select which battery type are you charging. Well, again, a lithium-ion. You also have the option of limiting your charge current. Well, this is a lithium-ion system, so there is no need for it, so I want the full 60 amp charging current. If you press OK again, the Combi Master will be working in your CZone system. But I also know that there are quite a few of you that want to do more than these simple settings. So if you press the Advanced Settings button, you will find more options to change your settings in your system. And if you want to make your system even smarter, you can also press the Alarm and Switch Settings button. This will give you a window that gives you the options to change your alarm levels or switch levels. It also gives you the options of changing the alarm severities. With those switch options, for example, you can make your system work automatically and quicker between each other without interference of a user. So for example, I can say with a low state of charge of my lithium-ion, turn on my charger. With lithium-ions, you can now also create clusters. The clusters are basically a bigger battery bank. And you can do multiple batteries in series or multiple batteries in parallel, or of course, a combination of the two. So in this example, you can see that I have 6 lithium-ion batteries, 2 in series and 3 in parallel. If you think, okay, Marleen, this was a great overview of how I do the configuration, but I'm still not sure on how to do this, then I will refer you to the Power Academy. And Michel van der Val will show you all the ins and outs of the CZone configuration tool and will help you through some settings and information. Well, Michel is very good in giving you this information, but if you still think, okay, I don't feel quite comfortable in setting up this system, we also can help you with this and use the ASG Connect option, formerly known as PPSI. One of the great examples of these integrated systems is the Sea-Ray SLX-R. This is a new type of boat that has been shown on the CES in Las Vegas. And in this example, they kicked out the generator and replaced it with 4 lithium-ion batteries. To charge those lithium-ion batteries, they have 2 Combi Masters in the system as well, and a couple of alternators. All the information of this system is available on an MFD screen.
Here we see a great example of a nice system inside of a vehicle. It's from our UK colleagues, and we see here the combination of Mastervolt lithium-ion, a Solar Charge Master 60, a Combi Master 2 kVA, even a Mac Plus, and underneath we see the CZone equipment, a COI with some output interfaces, and actually also some Blue Sea system equipment. Together with Anchor cabling, we have here a total overview of all brands combined together. So that's what ASG can bring you into one system. Very nice example.
And as you can see from these examples, you can already create a few nice systems. But we keep working on making those systems greater and greater again. For example, in January, we will have a release of the CZone config tool. In this release, you will find the option of doing a firmware update from the config tool to the lithium-ion batteries. You will also find all the new models of the ChargeMaster Plus range. And of course, you will also find the option of adding the lithium-ion 1250 batteries. In April, we expect another release of the CZone configuration tool. And in this case, we focus on giving you more firmware update options. So in April, we will give you the option of doing ChargeMaster Plus firmware updates and CombiMaster firmware updates from the config tool to the devices. We also do some minor updates to make sure that you get all the right information on the displays. In the meantime, we also start working on adding the Mac Plus to the CZone network. This takes a little bit more time, so by next year's METS, we hope to be able to release that. With that same release, we want to give you the option of creating shunt clusters and make the connection between a shunt and a charger. By that time, we also want to focus on updating the multiple processors in some of our equipments, for example, the ChargeMaster and CombiMasters. So that's all to come by the end of next year. Of course, there's even more to come. For example, the Alpha Pro, the Smart Remote, and we start certifying for NEMA 2000. But by METS next year, we will tell you more about this.
Last but not least, a call to action. Please, people online, show us your system and tell us your story. We have the power notes, which we can send out monthly, and then we can show your system in our marketing news. So please do so. Thank you very much for listening in.
Thank you, Marleen. Thank you, Ivo. I'm sure people have enjoyed this captivating session. Marleen, you're used to be on camera. People know you from the installation videos. But what is more exciting, live presenting or recording the videos?
Well, this is definitely more exciting because this is live. I get no retakes, and nobody knows how much retakes I did with the installation videos. And of course, I have to talk during these videos, which is not a part of the installation videos.
Okay.
And for you, Ivo, first time on camera, how did it feel?
Yeah, it was the first time on camera. It was very exciting, especially with this professional atmosphere, all the lights and the cameras and no audience. So yeah, it's a new experience.
Well, it is indeed, and it is too bad that our viewers can't see how professional it really looks and how hot the lights are.
During your presentation, a lot of questions came in, and people are waiting for you to answer them. I believe we made a nice selection.
But if your question isn't addressed, don't worry. We will make sure that all questions and all answers will be published on the Mastervolt portal at the end of the day. And now let's go to the first question. And we will ask Michel to join us.
Hello.
Hi, Michel.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I have a few questions for you guys. There were a lot of people listening in and looking at your presentation. My compliments. 227 people, so that's a lot of people watching. I have the first question for you. When do I use a Masterbus CZone bridge interface and when not?
That's a very good question. Actually, with the last example we gave, of the vehicle with the totally integrated system, that was a very good example of when you have to use a Mastervolt CZone bridge interface. Because there were some components which were not yet CZone Mastervolt NEMA compatible, and we had some Masterbus compatible components, like for example the Solar ChargeMaster 60 and the Mac Plus. So if you want to combine them totally in one system, then it's good to use the Mastervolt CZone bridge interface. Well, make sure that they all will disappear in your CZone screen.
That's a very clear answer, Ivo. Thank you very much. Marleen, I think you already answered it, but I think somebody has not been really listening. But can ASG help me to set up a Mastervolt CZone configuration setup?
Of course they can. And I think, Michel, you are one of those great examples that can help. But there are multiple people within ASG that can help you set up a configuration for such a system.
Okay, very good. Well, if I want to replace my a Mastervolt or CZone component in a system, can I do that very quickly?
Yes, you can do that very quickly. And that's one of the reasons why we have those dip switches on the devices. So if you make sure that the dip switches of the new device are exactly the same as the old device that you are replacing, just simply do that, plug it into the system, and it will work as the old unit did before.
Very nice stuff. Excellent. Okay, another one. Which important benefit does a CZone Mastervolt system bring for an OEM producing in large series, whether it's a boat or a vehicle builder?
That's a good question. What's really interesting for an OEM builder is that if you just installed one system, so that's mostly the first one or the demo vehicle or boat, that system can be saved away. So you have like an offline config file. And that config file can be used in every series produced boat or vehicle. So then everyone can do the setup.
That saves a lot of time. That's
cannot
really,
make any
really nice.
mistakes.
And it also saves you some knowledge on your employees.
Yeah.
Because there's only one person who needs to make the configuration file, and the other people can just send it to the system, which is a simple click of a button.
Excellent, good stuff. All right, next question. With the CZone direct backbone setup, on the second slide, somebody said, is it allowed to have the power supply of the backbone directly from the MLI battery instead of a separate battery? Well, because I'm also an expert, you can do both, dear listener. But we would advise you to use standard a DC-DC converter to power the backbone, so you have a stable voltage. But if you want, you can power it directly from the battery, but preferred a DC-DC converter to have a very steady backbone.
Good answer.
I thought I could answer that as well.
Thank you, Michel.
Excellent. Well, we have another one. Display user interfaces. Do you have a roadmap for adding other languages too? Especially for Asian languages that might use complex characters?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know CZone in New Zealand has those on the roadmap, but I'm not sure on when.
Okay.
So I have to check with them.
Well, we will check and we will come back to that question that was from Berne, and Berne, we will come back to you. Will the shore limit functionality become available for external MFDs?
Yes, that's definitely on the roadmap. Currently, it's already available on some MFDs that have the CZone full integration. So for some MFDs, it's already available. For the newer MFDs that do not have a CZone full integration, it's not yet available, but it is on the roadmap to add that functionality as well.
Excellent. Well, Ivo, Marleen, that was my last question.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I leave it up to the girls.
Thank you, Michel, for your support. Thank you, Marleen. Thank you, Ivo. That were quite some questions to answer. And just as a reminder, at the end of the day, we place all questions and answers at the Mastervolt portal. And for our loyal viewers, you know what's coming up now. Brain trainer with a female touch this time. How many female employees are working at ASG in EMEA? I can mention a few reactions. 11, 25, 38, and it seems like most of you have no idea. But neither do we. But the right answer was sent in as well. Marianne, don't keep us waiting. Who is the winner?
Well, perhaps some of you know by now that I have the name of the winner on my card right here. But first we will go to the break, and then I will tell you who the winner is, so stay with us.
When I get lonely, I'm thinking of you. I can't get enough of the things that you do. When I get home, I think I'll kick on my shoes and walk through the door with my last cigarette. I'm watching you walk, babe, I'm breaking a sweat. You're taking it slow and you're making me guess. When I get lonely.
The question of this chapter of Brain Trainer was, how many female employees are working for ASD organization in EMEA?
We think never enough, but the correct answer is 50, a nice round number. We have 14 ladies working in the Mastervolt offices and no fewer than 36 women in the Will organization.
Okay, that's hopeful,
Yep.
and at least more than I expected. And of course, we also have a winner this time. And the one who was closest, and I have to say, at Doma they're very smart, because the closest was Jurgen from Doma.
Congratulations, Jürgen. You have won a digital Mets Connect Me surprise. Check your inbox. It will brighten up your day. Thank you for participating. And this afternoon, we have a new episode of Brain Trainer.
And at 2 o'clock, we will be back with our 8th online session, Atwood and Whale Water Systems.
We welcome a new member in our family of brands. Meet this global supplier with a long history of design and manufacturing of marine water systems.
For now, thank you for watching, connecting and interacting with us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned with Mets Connect Me.